Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. My name is Jay Zawaski. With me, as always, Greg Boysen, Mario Tirabassi. We're presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. And today's focus of the podcast will be the great Marian Hossa, who will officially retire as a Blackhawk this week. It was announced this morning. And thank you, hockey gods, for giving us an awesome story to talk about on and off day. Very excited about that. What's up, fellas? How's it going?
It is going good. The sun is out for a change. I forgot what it looked like.
Yeah.
Nice. That is exactly what we talked about the other night. Wherever Marian Hossa goes, the sun automatically comes out. Proven true once again today. The sun is always shining when number 81 is involved.
Yeah, we need to get him a permanent location here and not let him leave. Can he be like imprisoned at United Center? Like, don't call it a prison, but basically it's a prison where he has to stay within a confined area. People can visit, wave.
Our CHGO studios would make a really nice.
There's some comfy couches out there. Yeah.
It's got a full kitchen, a nice bathroom.
That'd be nice.
I think we can make him a permanent resident there. He can be our permanent producer.
That would be wonderful. No offense to Lawrence and Steven, who do a great job.
But they need a day off. Those guys work so hard. They need a day off or two. Let Marian take it over.
Anything he touches turns to gold. So I'm here for it. And I don't know if we can quite reveal our surprise, but next week we're going to have a noteworthy Blackhawks guest on the podcast in studio with us. So that's very exciting. Those details are in the works. And as soon as we find out officially the date and time and all those things, we will let you know, because it's something you're not going to want to miss.
Is it Marian Hossa?
I don't think so. But
tune in to find out.
I'm not going to say it's not Marian Hossa. I don't know. I don't know how many knots that was. Yeah, right. Well, we wrote about it collectively for allchgo.com. Mario did most of the work. Thank you, Mario. Just sort of sharing our thoughts on Marian Hossa. And, I go back to the moment it happened. July 1st, 2009, free agency had begun. We just saw, the Hawks come off a really strong playoff performance and seemed to be a piece away. And that piece was sitting there unsigned. And I don't know if it was ever really expected. I think there was some conversation of, maybe, just maybe, they can make this work somehow. I don't know if it's doable, but I don't know. Marian Hossa is going to be available. And it just was for Hawks fans at that time, to dream that big was absurd, right? The Hawks never got that guy. And Brian Campbell was a big signing, but they gave him a crap ton of money and made it almost impossible for him to say no. This was different. This was a dude at the peak of his powers, choosing to come cup chasing in Chicago, and knew that if he signed a long-term deal with the Blackhawks, he was going to get a Stanley Cup, and he got 3 of them.
Yeah, I remember, like I mentioned in the post, you watch the 2008-2009 team, and you could feel like, something's here. Like this is a legitimate team that's got some chance to make some noises. And the run to the Western Conference Final that year in 2009 was, that was something special. And you knew that this Blackhawks team was going to be something to behold and to deal with. And knowing that Marian Hossa was available that summer, and knowing that he had played and helped his teams to the Stanley Cup Final the 2 years before, it was just kind of like, this guy, we already knew then, this guy that, anything that he touches can potentially turn to gold. And, he made the commitment to the team, and you knew, like, it was on from there. So yeah, it was just a special moment to know that, a player of this caliber at this point in his career was going to make the commitment to a young and up and coming team, a team that was ready to be put over the top. And that was special.
Yeah, the previous summer, 2008, Jay kind of alluded to it. The Blackhawks signed both Brian Campbell and Cristobal Huet. I know we don't want to relive the Huet era, but at the time,
That was a big
Those
deal.
were like the top 2 free agents on the market that year, especially at those positions. And Brian Campbell got a huge contract. And we can probably have a whole episode where if that was worth it or not. It was worth it because it showed that the Blackhawks were willing to spend money. Hey, this isn't the Bill Wirtz Blackhawks. We're open for business. We want to be a destination. And those 2 guys kind of opened the door. But then it was what they did in that season, losing the Hossa and the Red Wings in the 2009 Western Conference Final. And, Hossa then, I was doubting that it would happen because we just signed those 2 huge guys. I was like, I don't think they got the money to pull this off again. But then it happened. And he signed that huge contract. What was it? 13 years, 12 years? I mean, it literally just expired this past year.
Yeah,
12 years, back when you can do that. And I know Duncan Keith and Marian Hossa kind of ruined that for everybody else. But I know the main reason was to kind of circumvent the salary cap and make that hit a little less. But it just also knew that he was not making, because the year before he signed a 1-year deal with the Red Wings to get that cup. Then he signs, basically, I'm going to play the rest of my career with the Blackhawks because this is a team that I think is going to do really well. So not only showed you that, hey, the Hawks were serious about winning, but meant that Marian Hossa was serious about winning, and that he knew that this wasn't just, I'm not coming here for 1 year. I'm committing myself to this franchise, to this team, to this city, to its fans. Such a huge signing. It changed the way not only Blackhawk fans viewed the franchise, but it changed the way the rest of the NHL did. That was their moment where, I always say that getting the 2009 Winter Classic changed the Blackhawks franchise a lot. That kind of put them on the national map again. But this took it even further. This was this is no longer a fun story of a franchise that's been resurrected. This is a franchise that now means business. And there really is only one goal, not to be cliche, but it was to win Stanley Cups. And part of the reason that made that Hossa deal so spectacular that we fawn all over it still to this day is because he delivered.
Yep.
Everything we dreamed of and more happened after that deal. We were all like, oh, this could really happen now. And it did happen. It happened 3 times. And if it wasn't for a horrible bounce in 2014, probably would have happened 4 times.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what makes it the best free agent signing in Chicago history, is because of the results that not only Hossa put up, but the team put up. Became a dynasty.
What about Rodman? That was a trade. And no,
Jinx.
still no. But Greg, going back to your point about his time in Detroit, he plays that series in the Western Conference Final against the Hawks. He's head-to-head against this team and has a realization at some point that, okay, these guys, they're a piece away from a cup, and that piece is me. You know what I mean? How cool is that? And that was, as I was sort of digesting the signing as it was happening, that was sort of the realization of, oh my God, he just played against these guys and realizes that they're the team on the rise. So I think we always have, when you're a fan of a team, you have a bias towards them, of course. So you're like, man, are they really as strong as we think they are? Are they really as close as it feels? Do other people see that? Or is it just Hawks fans? Because it's such an unfamiliar place for us to be at the time. And when Marian Hossa says yes, you listen. And it was like, hot damn. Then if he sees it, then everybody sees it. And there's no limit to what they can do and who might want to play here and so on and so on. And every time the Hawks targeted someone, either via trade or whatever, they got them. Because players wanted to be here. They wanted the opportunity to play for this franchise and win Stanley Cups. I mean, look at I know Oduya was a trade, Vermette was a trade, but it just goes on and on. The assassins they brought in, all the people they wanted, they got, because everyone wanted to be here and be part of this thing. And it started with Campbell and Huey, and then the exclamation point was Marian Hossa.
Yeah, and it's funny, he landed in Pittsburgh, gets to the Cup final against Detroit, and then turns down an extension with Pittsburgh to go to Detroit, because in the same situation, he had just seen the team that beat them, and he thought he could be a part of something. And then it doesn't happen in Detroit, and then he does the same thing and comes to Chicago, and essentially, instead of doing it on a 1-year basis, he said, you know what, I'm gonna be with this team, this young team, until I'm done playing hockey. And yeah, that was quite the commitment he made. And you know, the city truly embraced Marian Hossa. You know, besides Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, I think pretty much everybody has a special place for Marian Hossa in their heart for, you know, the modern Blackhawks dynasty, and not only for the player that he was on the ice, but the person that he was off the ice. He was just, you know, just a person that you could latch onto, and someone that the city, you know, really embraced. And you could easily see that in the reception that he got just this weekend at Jonathan Toews' 1,000th game presentation celebration. And you know, we saw the video from Hossa congratulating Jonathan, and you know, everyone loved seeing that on the broadcast. And then he shows up at the United Center and it's just almost gets the same ovation that Jonathan Toews gets. I mean, it's just, you know, this is a city, Chicago, where, you know, if you endear yourself to a fan base, you're going to have a place, no matter if you're here for a year or if you're here for 15 years. If you're the right kind of person, right kind of player, Chicago will always have a place for you. I mean, look, Brandon Hagel, people fell in love with him very quickly. And, you know, Marian Hossa, he had a long time for people to fall in love with him, but he did it quickly as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's that blue collar player we've, you know, hear about to mythical proportions here in Chicago, but he was the guy that did all the dirty work, did little things, a lot of the things that don't show up in a box score. And, you know, the people see that, people pick up on that. You know, he was out there every night playing unselfishly and doing whatever it took to get the team a victory. He didn't care about his personal stats. Never did. He never made it about Marian Hossa. Even, you know, his 500th goal, his 1000th game, all these huge personal achievements that very few players get. He never made it about himself. And I think that's a major reason of what has endeared himself to this fan base is his humility and his just overall team first attitude.
Well, one of the funny things too is when he had to stop playing, there was all this talk of cap circumvention. And it's like, in what world are the Blackhawks worse off with Marian Hossa? That's just not a thing. Like there's no way that the Hawks look at this and say, boy, you know, we could really use that Hossa money. Hell no. Whatever they could do with that money was not going to equal a Marian Hossa. And even if he was declining a little bit because of the age and the mileage and all those things, he was still incredibly effective defensively. He could still add some offense. And like, you look at him now and he looks like he can still play.
He's still in good shape. Yeah.
It's like, if you sign a one-day contract, can you technically play that night? Is that a thing? Can we get him some sort of like lotion suit?
We need to ask Derek King if he's gonna put him in the lineup for Thursday night.
Yeah. Derek King actually talked about it today. We'll let Steven, our producer, pull it up when he's ready and fire it. But it was good. He's got a longer history with Marian Hossa than I remembered. So if Steven, if that's ready, go ahead and fire it.
I saw those guys. I told you I saw those guys after the game. And can you guys play still? Because I could use a few of you guys. I should put him on the. He looks like he's in shape. He looks good. I had him. I had training camp with him in Ottawa. His first year, I believe. I was there. I had signed a contract with Ottawa, but I knew I was going to go to Grand Rapids, so I had training camp with all those. The hell of a hockey player. It's too good for me, so I get out of there, go to the minors, and just finish off nicely. But it was good. It'd be nice to see him on the ice again.
That's awesome. I love to see that earlier today, and I had forgotten that, you know, the deal Derek King signs with the Ottawa organization, and there's Marian Hossa, the rookie, and he knew right away, like, this is a different kind of a thing here, you know. And it's funny. I wrote it in the All CHGO piece we did today. It's just such a cool way for this to end with him signing officially as a Hawk. Like, we'd all remember him as Blackhawks, but that stuff kind of matters in sports, you know. Like in the Baseball Hall of Fame, it's which hat is he going to wear, right? And the Hockey Hall of Fame does not have a team designation, but I think the conversations. I don't think so. Not like on the plaques. It's just a headshot. and it will say like where they played and things like that. But when I was there, it was a long time ago. But the plaques do not have a team designation. It just has the player, the years they played, and what they accomplished. And the jerseys are it's all black and white, so you couldn't tell what sweater they're wearing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm looking at it right now. It kind of looks like it could be a Hawks sweater, but there's no. It's
just whatever he was wearing for the headshot they used for the plaque, right?
It's like a jersey.
Yeah. But I'm saying whatever headshot they used for it, it's the jersey he was wearing at the time.
Yeah.
So it's not really.
You're right.
There's no way to like denote that. Anyway, the point being, even if it was, the argument is over, right? He's not a Senator. He's not a Thrasher. He's obviously not a Red Wing or a Penguin. He's
a Coyote.
Or a Coyote. Where legends go to die. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's a cool way to tie a bow on it. And it's great to see that he enjoyed his time so much here. And, kind of got feelings that, well, maybe he's going to be more involved or is more involved than we thought when he was named part of the GM search committee. I was surprised to see that name on there because, he went home and he was not really visible with the organization, but all of a sudden it seems like this is something that Jamie Faulkner and Danny Wirtz have identified as this is a guy whose brain we need to pick. This is a guy who's got thoughts on hockey and on life, and we should involve him in things we do. And this is a great way to do it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people towards the end of Hossa's career, when maybe the finish line was starting to become a little bit more visible to that. I think a lot of people talked about him, the like you said, the mind he has for hockey and how that could translate into a post-playing career position. Some people, have thought he could be a coach. Some people could, have thought he could be in a front office position. I think probably he just wanted some time away from the game. I'm sure most players want to have some time to kind of decompress from hockey. Some of them, at least, want to decompress from that before getting back into it and whatnot. But I would not be surprised if this is part of a way for the Blackhawks to have him be part of the organization in a front office role or a consultant or mentor or development coach or something. We've seen them bring back former players in those positions, like a Brian Campbell, who's also maybe going to have a front office role as well. I would love to see Hossa back a little bit more frequently than he has been. If he's, if he's got the chops for it, I would not mind seeing him, involved either in a front office position, alongside maybe Kyle Davidson in looking at, how to successfully build up this team, or maybe they get him, into the coaching realm and see what he can do behind the bench, either as an assistant or more than that. I don't know, but I would love to see, just give him a shot. There's nothing wrong with giving him a look at maybe having some sort of role like that. And especially now where, the Blackhawks are trying to build up, now's the time to take some chances on who you want to maybe see as a front office consultant or in a coaching realm.
There's just a million titles you can make up to give Marian Hossa a job. Yeah. Special advisor to the GM, or
senior vice consultant. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It's obvious that it's obvious he should be part of this organization. Just listen to the pop he got Sunday night. It was a CM Punk type pop. I mean, the place went nuts. It was. I'm wearing my CM Punk shirt, by the way. Come on our show. We'd love to have you. Anyway, the fans love him, and he's so well respected inside the hockey world. If he wants to be a part of this team, you give him whatever job he wants. It's as simple as that.
I want to be head coach.
Okay. Done. All right. Seriously, what's the problem here?
Once again, Derek King realizes, well, hey, it's Hossa. See you later. Puts his fedora on and leaves.
Coming full circle. Back to the minors with you. No,
let's wait a week on that, though.
Yeah. But if he wants the front office part, if he wants to be head of European scouting, whatever he wants to do, let him do it. Obviously, the fans love him and they want him to be a part of this. And with all the bad PR this franchise has gotten over the last year plus, whatever you want to say, however far back you want to go. They need as many positive spins as they can get. They need as many feel-good stories as they can get. And even with all that stuff that happened in 2010, that the ugliness that came out of it, Marian Hossa's name has never been attached with that. I don't think ever will be. He's just that feel-good player, and he's so well respected around the league that putting him in some sort of front office role where he's getting to be part of either negotiations or drafting or just whatever, people are going to listen. He commands respect in a room when he opens his mouth and gives you his hockey opinions. There's a lot that goes behind that, and people are going to listen to it. So I think it would be a great move to get him involved in the organization in any way, shape, or form. Be it just, the ambassador role where he comes and waves to the fans every few games and makes commercials, or make him part of the actual day-to-day operation. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. I wonder, fellas, why you think Marian Hossa remains so popular. And, hockey fans love him because I always said about Hossa, if you were to create a hockey robot and just build out the perfect player, maybe he wasn't the best at his time, but the most complete hockey player, for sure the most complete winger to play during his era. Why is it that Hawks fans love him so much? And sometimes I wonder if it was because of the way his time here ended, where it felt premature, the decline wasn't totally underway, because honestly, I was a little disappointed when Brent Seabrook popped his head out and he did not get a similar pop to what Marian Hossa got, because I think there are some, those memories of the last few years of Seabrook were tough. And it did, I don't want to say it stained his legacy. I think that's overstating it, because in a few years, people are going to only remember the great stuff about Brent Seabrook. But that guy, drafted by the organization, gave his heart and soul. There's chunks of Brent Seabrook still in the ice to this day, but he just didn't get the love Hossa got. I wonder what it is about Hossa that people just love. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on that.
I think it is the lack of sourness or any saltiness around him as his career came to an end, because of the way it came to an end. It was all of a sudden he's not playing anymore. And I think, like you said, like with Seabrook, like you saw the deterioration in him, physically and kind of the detriment he became on the ice. As hard as it, like, I make a face saying that, because it's like he did so much for the team that, to have the end of his career be where it was like he was just a liability. It hurt. And then, of course, being a liability, making that much money, a lot of fans were not happy with, what Seabrook was able to do towards the end of his career. You mentioned it before, Jay, like Hossa's the final season that he played, he was still effective. He was still a good player. You could still put him on the penalty kill and play in the top six, even at whatever he was, 37, 38 years old. And it just, and not only having the mileage that he had, but also what he was playing through. Mm-hmm. You learn the details of the skin condition that he had, and you just hear these horror stories of him just having, like, I don't want to get gross, but just what he had to deal with the skin condition that he had, and still being able to play at that level. So I think it is the lack of, that sourness towards the end of the career. He was always reliable. He was always, you could always count on him in a clutch moment. And he was just consistent. Like, I can't remember in his time ever doubting his ability to produce or play a key role. Like, he was always just, it's Hossa. You know what you're going to get from him, and it's going to be a high level player. So I think for me, that's why I think he's always going to have like I can't think of any reason to ever say something bad about him from a Blackhawk standpoint.
Now, his last year, by the way, 73 games, 26 goals, 19 assists.
Right. Yeah.
Still pretty good.
Cap circumvention. No, please come back.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. And you saw immediately when he was gone the difference that it made, for sure. So
yeah. Greg, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo a lot of what you guys both said. It was the fact that he just left. There wasn't that steady decline. You mentioned Seabrook, and for 2-3 seasons, all we heard about when we heard Seabrook's contract being described as an albatross for years. And it wasn't, listen, being a sports fan, we've all been there. It's a what have you done for me lately world. Okay, you can win all the championships in the world, but if you suck right now, you suck forever. That's just the way it goes.
It's like our Taves conversation this year.
Absolutely. We're seeing the same thing with Jonathan Taves. We saw the same thing with Duncan Keith before he was traded. We never got that for Hossa. And, that has a lot to do with it. There is even a little bit of that with Patrick Sharp. When Patrick Sharp came back that second time around, it was not great. But he wasn't making that kind of money. But, it's just the fact that Hossa still was very productive, never had that major decline. That probably does a lot for it. There's no real bad things to remember. And you're 100% right. As the years pass, no one's going to remember those last 2 years of Brent Seabrook where it was a chore to watch him try and keep up with the fast players. And you're going to remember him being that leader, that guy that took the team on the back, the guy that went to the penalty box and calmed Jonathan Taves down in Detroit, scored that series clinching goal against it. You're going to remember all that stuff. When we look back at Jonathan Taves, we're not going to remember the decline and all the health problems the last couple of years. We're going to remember that Conn Smythe run of 2010. Duncan Keith's amazing 2015 playoff run is going to be front and center. It's not going to be, well, the last year he was here, he just stood and watched all these goals go in. No one's going to remember that. And that's the best thing about sports. Yes, it's a what have you done for me lately, but time also heals all wounds. So, I mean, maybe except for Chris Chelios. There's still a lot of people that won't forgive him. But
I'm over it. I have forgiven him, for the record. Hey, the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, the stuff we were discussing earlier, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. My shirt is on its way. I will wear it during tomorrow's show. I cannot wait. So that's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions about this promotion, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we'll help you out. PointsBet is your home for live in-play betting, and it just got even better. You can now sign up online. You don't have to leave your couch. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all on your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
So today, Derek King was talking about Marian Hossa and, talking about, I just wanted to kind of go back to that comment. Him saying to making the joke, saying to Hossa and Seabrook and Patrick Sharp, hey, we could use some of you guys. I know it's a joke, but what is that where we're at with this current group? That we're please, 40-year-old Marian Hossa and retired, all these retired players, please come back. We need you. Is that where we're at with this team?
I mean,
whoa.
Tell me right now if Marian Hossa
more tickets.
Yeah, Doug Buffon always used to say, he's got one goal line stand left in him, right? Maybe Marian Hossa has one meaningless game in April left in him. And I'm telling you, if he said, okay, I'll play, would you have trouble scratching Mackenzie Entwistle for him and think there'd be a giant drop off in play? I don't think so.
Not whatsoever.
And that's not a knock on Mackenzie Entwistle. If he is the equivalent of 40 whatever year old Marian Hossa, 3 years removed from playing hockey, then that's still a very high compliment. I'd say wow, that's flattering.
Where's Bill Veeck when you need him? This is where we get Marian Hossa to play in 5 different decades. Let's bring him back for one game each of the next, once every 10 years. Get him a shift. He can break Gordie Howe's record of being the oldest player to play in the National Hockey League.
That's if there's one guy that could do
it's either him or Yager. I mean, Yager, I think, could still play right now.
He still might. You never know.
Right.
You never know.
He was threatening Ovechkin. Say he's going to come back and get his record back. Yeah.
You can give me a line with Yager and Hossa and anybody right now, and they would be the third line on any team in the league.
And maybe the fastest line on the Hawks.
Oh,
okay.
Second
fastest.
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
Yeah. They'd probably be the best defensive line on the Hawks.
No doubt about that. Yeah. It's just such a cool day. And out of nowhere, really. And I don't know if they just kind of said, hey, what do you think about this? Since you're in town.
Yeah. How long are you staying?
You're going to be around Thursday? We'd love to have you officially retire as a Hawk. Okay. Yeah. What am I doing?
I don't think the timing is a coincidence here. And you got him here. Maybe it was something they had planned all along. I know he was supposed to have one of those legacy nights or one last shifts earlier this season?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think maybe. Yeah, with that, because it was right in line with when the Beach report came out. So that rightfully wasn't the right time to say, hey, let's bring back this guy that was part of that team.
You know what? Greg, sorry to interrupt you. That's a great point, because if you remember, he initiated that.
Yeah.
He issued a statement saying the time is not right for this. It'll be right in the future, but right now, this is not appropriate. No, we're not doing this. And he, I don't know if it was him and the Hawks together, but from the indications I got at that moment it was a vast majority of that decision went to Marian Hossa, where he said, I don't want to do this right now. It doesn't feel right. We're not doing this. So that tells you all you need to know about his character and his intelligence and his just, I guess, overall awareness of what's going on around him. Where
awareness from a hockey player, it is a rare skill.
It is a strange thing. It is. Yeah. It's
very refreshing, but I think a lot of that had to do with it. Maybe they had planned this all along. Maybe not the exact date, but they said, hey, come in for John. Or maybe this is something that just came out of a conversation Sunday afternoon. Who knows? But I always kind of find it funny. I'm sorry. I find it funny that a guy actually is in the Hall of Fame before he officially retires. It's still a little strange. Chris Pronger was actually working for the league still, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had put it out on Twitter. I said, I'm 99.99% sure this has been in the works for a while, but maybe that ovation on Sunday gave the Hawks a little extra push to be like, maybe we'll do this little thing. But no, I'm sure it's been in the works. And it was also pointed out to me that I believe tomorrow night he has an autograph signing somewhere near town. I don't think it's actually in the city, but it's somewhere in the Chicagoland area that he's got like an autograph signing. So probably just all lined up that he had, he was going to be in town for Taze. He was going to be in town for this thing. And they probably planned on it like, hey, let's all just swoop and do it. And it doesn't hurt to have back-to-back home games against Arizona and Seattle with special celebrations to sell a little extra tickets. So it all works out for everyone.
It's funny how those things line up, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not planning. Tampa Bay in town or the Red Wings. It's
Sunday
we're just gonna have to get our real estate agent friends to start snooping to see if there's been any kind of purchases happening. Maybe he's coming back for good.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be really great. And
Fleury was living in Seabrook's old place, right? I think I saw a story that Fleury was living in Seabrook's old house. So maybe now that that's vacant, Hossa could move into Seabrook's old house now.
Just keep recycling it through players. That's it.
Eventually, it'll be Kirby Docks once he can move out of the basement.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We so Sunday we were at the suite. The Hawks invited the whole CHGO crew to the suite, and we all had the opportunity to talk to Kyle Davidson and Jamie Faulkner and Danny Wirtz. They were just kind of hanging out in the suite with us, and I had a talk with Jamie Faulkner out in the hallway, and I said, "Wow, like this has just been an awesome night. Like the Taves ceremony was perfect, and I just couldn't believe the pop that Hossa got." And she just took that opportunity and ran with it to praise Marian Hossa, saying how impressed she is, just, and everybody is, when he's around. His presence is just, he lights up a room. People are starstruck to see Marian Hossa, people that have worked for the team for years. He's that guy to them. And I think there's a bit of that. His personality is a little bit, he's quiet, he's wise. He's got kind of like the Yoda personality. Like he doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it means something, right? but just the intelligence that he shows and the commitment. And she was just glowing and glowing and glowing about Marian Hossa. So look, the organization sees it. And I know before this podcast began, we had a lot of time to talk about that town hall meeting on all of our different outlets. And Danny and Jamie seem to really get it, right? They seem to have a sound plan on and off the ice. And then Rocky kind of got in the way a couple times and derailed the entire thing. But up until those moments, I think everything Danny and Jamie were saying was encouraging and positive. And whether or not their ideas come to fruition, we don't know. But the ideas were sound, and the thoughts on everything that was going on were sound. So again, maybe just her and Danny being around Hossa in a more official role has opened their eyes to, holy cow, like this guy brings a lot of value to our franchise. So we'll see. I'm really interested to see what's next for Marian Hossa, because part of me is like, he could do anything. And part of me thinks he's just going to say, hockey's been great. I'm going to go on vacation for the rest of my life. And neither would surprise me.
Yeah, it really has seemed like, from the snippets we have seen of him outside of hockey and what we've been able to, kind of learn about him post his playing career, it really does seem like he kind of has made the most of just kind of, having his life after being, NHL star. So if he wants to have a role like that, I think the Blackhawks with open arms would bring him in for sure. So I think it kind of comes down to if he really wants to have that role. Because I'm with you, Jay. If he wants to do it, if he puts his mind to something, he's the kind of person that you feel like, well, he'll master it eventually and have no worries about it. So yeah, if he wants to be involved, I would think that the current front office is going to not hesitate to say, yeah, let's give you this responsibility and take it from there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any job they can come up with that you can't trust Marian Hossa to do to the best of his ability. That's the bottom line. And you said it great too, Jay. He brings value to this organization no matter what role you give him.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say that about too many people. It's a no-brainer. If Marian Hossa calls you up and says, I want a job, you say, what job can we give you?
Find one.
Yes, you create a job for him.
How are you with Photoshop, Marian? You want to run our social media?
Get Marian Hossa running their TikTok account.
Look, and if the Hawks don't have a spot for him, CHGO has a spot for him.
Yes,
absolutely.
We'll find something for Marian Hossa to do.
Yeah, he can if he can master an Athletic Greens read, we'd love to have him as a part of our Blackhawks crew.
No one does them like you, Mario. Marian Hossa included.
Speaking of Athletic Greens, I think I've gotten the transition down here pretty good. But speaking of Athletic Greens, I have my AG1 formula right here. And it's a fantastic. My dog is also whining in the background too. He wants his Athletic Greens as well.
Makes two of us. I got one down here too. So
my dog's dead.
Oh,
thanks.
Sorry to hear that, Jay. But yes,
just keep going.
Athletic Greens is proud of their AG1 formula. It's designed to improve your gut health, optimize your immune system, and give you more natural energy. In just one scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's good with all different kinds of diets as well, whether it's gluten-free or keto or paleo, vegan, dairy-free, whatever it is. With AG1, you're good to go. It's easy to incorporate into your life, no matter how busy you might be. It's just a small once-a-day habit with big benefits. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
My wife's been taking it. She loves it. Oh, he's going to chug it.
Oh, go.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to chug it. He's going to continue to sip it.
That was a hearty slug. I'll give you credit for that. That was pretty solid. It's 4 or 5 ounces.
Listen, I've done a bunch of these before because I try to be healthy, and not a lot of them have stuck around, and a lot of it is because they taste like you're eating grass clippings. This is good. This is good to go. Like I had my, I've had my my wife is telling me to chug it. All right, fine. There we go.
Chug, Mario.
I'll finish my thought first. The taste of this is there's no issue with it whatsoever. I know
you're about to prove that.
I know a lot of people have their hesitations about, things like this with taste. This is you got nothing to worry about.
All right, do it. Oh, that's impressive. Look at that, down the hatch.
Oh yeah.
Just like college.
No bitter beer face at all.
No, it's good. It's good stuff.
My wife loves it too. It's been helping her with her stomach issues. So we are all on board here with Athletic Greens, and we thank them for being parts of things. All right, well, we got about a segment and a half to go here, fellas. We are going to write about it for allchgo.com tomorrow. And look, if you want to become a member of CHGO, you absolutely should. It's awesome. We've got our podcasts and live shows every day for every Chicago team. Post-game shows after every game, premium written content for members at allchgo.com. The dope merch that you've been hearing so much about. Check out the CHGO Sports Twitter account. People are sending us their merch, and it looks awesome. I cannot wait for mine to arrive. You get a free shirt when you become a member, and, of course, access to our members-only Discord. So go to allchgo.com and become a member. Join the team. Join the community. It is growing and growing and growing every day, and we'd love you to be part of it, allchgo.com. But tomorrow or later this week, whenever we get around to it, we're going to publish our favorite Marian Hossa moments. So why don't we do that now? Aside from Nashville Game 5, which is the consensus Marian Hossa moment of all time.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah, it's just such a great moment and so key. And it sucks that I think Doc Emmerich butchered 2 calls in his entire career. The Patrick Kane game winner in 2010, which is totally understandable.
And he got his redo.
And then he called Marian Hossa Kane for the Nashville Game 5 call.
Yeah.
But
which is always conveniently edited whenever it's used in promotional pieces.
But just the image of Hossa, who was not always the most excessive celebrator when it came to goals. He'd get excited now and again, but to spin on the knees and pump the fists, that was just so memorable, and it will always live in my mind. That and the Seabrook goal to eliminate Detroit are the 2 moments of the dynasty that stand out the most to me, aside from game-winning cup goals, of course.
Yeah.
So let's start. Mario, start us off. What's your favorite Marian Hossa moment?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of my favorite moments that I think, and I wrote about it today in the piece on allchgo.com. One of my favorite moments that I think gets overlooked a lot because of milestones and obviously things that happen in the playoffs are huge. But one of the best games that the Blackhawks had from a memorable standpoint, it wasn't the best effort that they had on the ice, but one of the best, most memorable games from probably one of the most memorable runs the team has ever or maybe will ever have is from that 2013 season, where they were on the second night of back-to-back games on the road against Calgary. It's the game Ray Emery stole for that team, but they were down 2-1 late in the third period, and it's Marian Hossa that ties the game with just under 3 seconds to go to send it to overtime. They eventually get to the shootout and are able to pull out the win. But without that goal, along with the performance from Ray Emery, the 21-0-3 start to that season, the longest without a loss in regulation in NHL history, I believe it is. That doesn't happen without those 2 guys, and Ray Emery deservedly gets all the glory for that kind of performance that he put in to steal that game. But without Hossa being there in the clutch, they don't get that. They don't get to overtime. They don't get the win. So it's just a testament to the reliability that he always had in his career that we talked about earlier. He was right there, perfect time, perfect right place at the perfect time, and that was that. I remember watching that game and just thinking like, man, Emery deserved so much better than to lose this game, and then there's Hossa
Yep.
sending it to overtime. So that one always sticks out to me.
Greg?
Yeah. Before I share my moment, one quick thing about that Game 5 overtime goal. I could still tell when rain's going to come to the knee injury I suffered while celebrating that goal. I was at that game back when I still had season tickets, and when he scored that goal, I jumped really high out of my seat and I did not stick the landing, and I'm pretty sure I caused some ligament damage that I never got fixed. So I'm able to tell 48 hours in advance of rain because of that goal. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. But outside of that amazing moment, one of my favorite moments is something that just happened in the blink of an eye, but it was just so Marian Hossa. And that was game 1 of the 2014 Western Conference Finals against the Los Angeles Kings. And Hossa goes to play the puck behind the net, and in comes charging Dustin Brown. Everybody hates Dustin Brown, but Dustin Brown's trying to be Dustin Brown. He's going to take a run at Marian Hossa, and he thinks he's going to get a shot at him. Hossa sees him coming, squares up, and Brown gets knocked right on his ass. Hossa doesn't even move, and I'm sure if the camera was zoomed in, he probably gave him a little smirk and skated off. I mean, that right there is Marian Hossa. He was an unassuming badass. He didn't have to show you that he was one of the baddest men on the ice, but if you tempted him, you dared to throw him up, he put you on your ass. He learned that lesson right there, Mr. Brown did. I think the rest of the Kings went, he's cool, we're going to leave him alone, just try not to kill us. That was Marian Hossa. He could have ripped your head off if he wanted to, but he chose not to. But he knew that you knew that he could do it.
Yeah, definitely. That is a great moment. And you're right. Like, people think about goals and all these great feats he had, offensively. Some of the defensive stuff was great. And that brings me to one of mine where Hawks in Detroit, I think it was, I'm trying to remember the year. It might have been the Cup year, 2010. It doesn't matter. The moment was still great. It was Hossa had the puck in the Hawks zone. Pavel Datsyuk comes behind Hossa, lifts Hossa's stick, and takes the puck away. And that was not a great moment until Hossa went and returned the favor about 30 feet later, turns around, catches up to Datsyuk, takes the puck away from him, sends it the other way, and the Hawks get a great scoring chance. That's it. Like, the goals are wonderful. And of course, he had the one that he caught through and batted in the net before before it hit the ice. The 2 goals in his Hawks debut. But those little defensive plays that are what really defined him as a player, right? There's a lot of wingers that can score. There's not a lot of wingers that can play 2 ways like Marian Hossa did. And it's a shame he never got a Selke. I know it's an award for centers, but if there's ever a winger who deserves it, it's Hossa.
Yeah.
I was looking it up today. The highest he ever finished was 5th in the 2014 season.
Yeah, that's a joke. Yeah, I get that center is the most important defensive position among the forwards, but that doesn't mean you can't be the best defensive forward on the wing. Hossa proved that for many years. Mm-hmm. Maybe he just played at the wrong time. He played while Pavel Datsyuk and it was the beginning of Patrice Bergeron, Jonathan Taves, and Ryan. You had all these dominant defensive centers, Kopitar, and Ryan Kessler was up there for years. So maybe he just played in the wrong era, but it's still a joke that he only finished 5th in the voting. One of the things, first time I ever got to see Marian Hossa up close and personal was when I had part of the media day before the 2013 Stanley Cup final. And everybody, they took everybody out on the concourse and they had their own little podium, and you just went from player to player, asked your question, moved along. The first thing I noticed about Marian Hossa, outside of his calm presence, here's a guy, heading into the Stanley Cup final, and you would just think he was just sitting there talking to his wife at the breakfast table, just so calm. But the thing I noticed were the size of this man's hands. They were the largest hands I've ever seen in my life. I literally sat there and stared at his hands for like 2 minutes. Just like, they look like bear paws. I was like, no wonder nobody can get the puck away from this guy, because his hands must take up the entire stick. He was just a physical specimen that I don't think you see too often, where he didn't look like the biggest player on the ice, but man, he was just so tough to play against. And that's key in the world of hockey, is you hear coaches say it all the time. You got to play hard. Got to be hard to play against. We have to be hard to play against. Marian Hossa was probably the hardest player of his generation to play against.
Well, you mentioned the presence, and I wonder, looking back on it, this is something that if we get to talk to someone from that 2010 team, you could say, at that point the Hawks are still very young, right? Taves and Kane are young, and Seabrook and Keith, they've got a little more, a few more miles on them than those two, but still, in hockey terms,
mid-20s.
young,
Yeah.
Poland, young, all these guys, to have that guy come in and provide, like we've been saying, the kind of calm, never gets flustered, even keel, to have that presence who had played in the previous 2 Stanley Cup finals, to come into that room for those playoffs and especially for that cup final. I'd love to know what his impact was. And even if it wasn't anything he ever said, but if you're a young player, you're Dave Bolin and you look over at Marian Hossa and see, it's game 1 of the Stanley Cup final and he's just taping up his stick like always, putting his socks on. No difference in his demeanor, no difference in his mood. He's going to take the skate the same way. I think that sort of a presence can be calming and inspiring to young players. And Jason Hayward comes to mind for the Cubs. While he was not the most effective player, without his presence at that World Series game, who knows what happens, right? And a very similar personality. Doesn't say a lot. Just kind of goes about his business. Hasn't had the success Hossa had, but still, a commanding presence that can have an impact. So if and when we get the chance to talk to one of those 2010 Hawks, let's remember to ask them that, because I'd love to know if you ever feeling stressed out and you just go, oh, 81's here, we're going to be okay. Just knowing that guy's there has to be a big confidence boost for players.
Yeah, I think not every not every leader in a locker room is the one who stands up and gives the big speeches at the intermissions and whatnot. A lot of times the leadership is through example. And yeah, I think Hossa came into that, like you said, Jay, that still young locker room as a very experienced player, a guy who had been there before, and was probably someone that a lot of those players young in their career leaned on to realize, like, okay, this is the best way to be a pro in the National Hockey League, and who better to learn from?
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. Again, if you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now. Go ahead, do it. Go to your app store, download it, and register start to finish. You can start placing bets in moments. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Call 1-800-522-4700 if you have a gambling problem. All right, fellas, we're about to wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts you want to share here on Hossa before we go?
Wow, apparently no. I think we've said it all. He was one of the all-time greats. So I'm thrilled that he's going to get this moment. I can't wait till the number 81 heads up to the United Center rafters to stay up there forever. That's the next step. And whatever he wants to do with his organization going forward, I'm 100% behind it. Seeing him at the United Center every night would be an absolute joy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I was going to say the interesting conversation is about, does 81 get retired? I think at the end of the day, I say yes, but it's interesting because he had such his career was expansive, but his biggest impact was in Chicago. But it was through the grand scheme of things, less than half of the games he played in his career were with the Blackhawks, even though they were a majority of the games he played. So I think that's an interesting discussion. Again, I still say it does eventually get there. But yeah, I think, Hossa, If he wants to permanently be at 1901 West Madison, he should be. If he wants to be there, he should be there for sure.
I agree. And the jersey retirement conversation is interesting, and I'm sure we've got a whole offseason to get to it. But if they do retire his number, that opens up the door for a lot of guys that are kind of on the borderline, right? Like I think we all assume Taves and Kane for sure, Keith
Easily.
for sure, probably Seabrook because you can tie in Chelios. But then you start saying, like, what about Crawford? What about Hossa? Patrick Sharp? Probably not. But, the conversation becomes broader when because Hossa would be, I think that would be like I don't want to say it's not questionable. He absolutely should have it retired, but he was the one I sort of had doubts about when he retired. Like, maybe because he's not homegrown, they would opt to not do that. But now with this announcement, with him retiring as a Hawk, first ballot Hall of Famer, 3 Stanley Cups, he's got all the credentials to do it. The only thing that he's missing is being drafted by the team. And I don't know if that's necessarily needed to have your number retired.
Yeah,
I think so. Go ahead,
I would say of the players that you get outside of the guarantees, I would have Hossa as probably the most likely in that next group, just because he was part of that group of 7 players that were there for all 3 cups, and already you're retiring probably 4 of those guys' numbers. So if there's going to be a 5th one, I think it's Hossa.
I think something that also helps him in this cause is that he wears a very unusual number. Who else is going to want number 81? Especially after what Hossa did here. Well,
Phil Kessel,
unless we're trading for Kyle Connor sometime soon, which I wouldn't be against.
That's fine.
I'd be okay with that. But who's going to really want to wear 81 in a uniform, in a Hawks uniform? So it's not like he wore number 10 or number 20, 25, one of these common numbers that you need all the time. He wore number 81. Let him be the only person in Hawks history to wear number 81. I'm okay with that. He's earned that. He deserves it.
Is he the only one?
I would think so. I don't remember any other 81s.
Let's look it up.
Let's look it up.
All right, I've got Hockey Reference here. Hold on, stand by.
Yeah, there can't be that many.
I honestly don't think there is, but we will find out here in a second.
Marian Hossa is the only one.
Just the only one.
There you go. Might as well.
Why let somebody else wear it?
Because if you don't retire it, everyone's just going to think of Hossa if someone else wears 81. Like,
right. We're going to get the angry tweets. How dare you wear Marian Hossa's number? Just like we got all the angry tweets about how dare Seth Jones wear Nicholas Charleston's number.
Bobby Orr's number.
They're just running out of defenseman numbers.
That's Keith Carney's. That's Keith Carney's number, people. That's what it is.
And people still say that about number 28 and 27 and stuff. So it's just like it might as well just make Hossa the only one to wear number 81. Just do it.
Still think both those should be up there, by the way.
I agree with that too, especially 28 for sure. Yeah, why he's not in the Hall of Fame, I will never understand. But
can I throw this out here, because this is a question that I don't want to get way too off topic, but because Ryan Getzlav said today he was going to retire, just quick, is he a Hall of Famer? Because I say yes. He checks enough boxes for me.
I would say yes.
I would think so too.
He's got that cup. Oh, breaking news as we go off the air. Lucas Reichel has been recalled from the Rockford Ice Hogs.
Oh,
other hour. Let's go.
Let's go, Rob.
Number 27.
Tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. for Lucas Reichel conversation.
Yes, there you go. There's a teaser for you.
There you go.
I would say Getzlav is a Hall of Famer. He did get that cup early in his career, but his longevity and his productivity, even this year, when everybody says he's done, he's still putting up pretty good numbers on a young team. I would say, Hall of Fame. He's done it very well for a long time.
1,150 games, 282 goals, 731 assists. That's 1,013 points and 954 penalty minutes. I think so.
He has a cup, 2 Olympic medals, all 17 seasons played with the Ducks, and I believe he's like their all-time point scorer.
I would imagine that, and that's got to play a role too.
That is. So yeah,
it's him or Travis Moen.
No, was it Jeff Friesen or was that the Sharks?
That's the Sharks.
Oh yeah. So it was just something that I had seen a little conversation happening, so I just wanted to present it to
almost
the
a
group.
point per game average over 17 seasons. Yeah, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I don't want to get too off Blackhawks topics because I know that we get yelled at for that sometimes.
Yep. All right, we're going to wrap things up before we get yelled at. Remember, we are presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But remember, if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership. That unlocks all of our awesome web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 or more first-time deposit at PointsBet. We're going to wrap it up. We've got another show tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Join us live. We're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to be, all 3 of us are going to be at practice. Got some other opportunities tomorrow after the show, after practice as well. And we've got Lucas Reichel's return to talk about. All that and more on CHGO Blackhawks from my partner, Greg Boysen and Mario Tirabassi. I'm Jay Zawaski. Thanks for listening to the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.